Welcome to Murder Room. My name is Clifton Frost, and in this program we'll be following CIT students as they examine crime scenes and navigate through our very own crime scene house.
The evidence of the crime awaits. There has been a double homicide. Who was murdered and how? With only 3 hours until they have to report their findings and 3 rooms to investigate, the students split up into their assigned teams. Will they be able to use their new investigatory abilities to uncover this murder mystery? Cliff, our head investigator, will now introduce the scenario.
At 6 o'clock this morning, we had a call come in relation to a disturbance. The police were dispatched. A neighbour rang up and said they heard loud noises and they also heard some arguing and a scream, all right? The premises belongs to George and Michelle Lilly. The neighbours said that there's been a lot of disturbance up until about a month ago when it all stopped. About 2 weeks later, they've noticed that Michelle was quite happy and she's been seen to have a friend named Alex come over and visit occasionally. We're not sure, we suspect it's Alex that's in the lounge room and we suspect that the deceased female is Michelle. Sergeant O'Keefe and Constable Bruce, they went to the front door. Immediately on arrival, they saw a window was broken into the lounge room.
What more happened that night that the evidence can uncover? Before we move on and find out more about the incident, let's introduce Cliff.
My name's Cliff Frost. I started doing forensic in the middle of the 80s. I joined the AFP, did a couple of years of general duty policing, basically stayed in the crime scene space for 15 odd years. I was deployed overseas to Bali in early 2001 for the Bali bombings, and that sparked a whole new way that forensics was viewed. I was made the coordinator ACT crime scenes, which was the superintendent basically in charge of crime scenes in the ACT. I got an offer to come back and thought it'd be nice to go back to forensic, which is one of my loves, prior to retirement, which was last year. They had a quick look inside and they saw a male lying on the ground, not moving, and there was a fair bit of blood around, okay? They've gone inside and quickly checked for signs of life. There are no signs of life. They've then proceeded to check the remainder of the house. They saw some blood drips and potentially trail leading towards the bedroom. They followed that, and inside the bedroom they found another female lying or propped up against the back wall. There was also a lot of blood around that deceased. They checked for signs of life and there was none.
The crime scene manager, Maddie, delegates what each team will do for the investigation.
Samantha and Matthew B, you'll be dealing with the bedroom and the kitchen. Tom and Zach, you will be dealing with the vehicle located outside. And then Matthew and Kirsten, you will be dealing with the lounge room and the dining room of the house.
We cut to the kitchen where our first team, Sam and Matt, discover a footprint. Why is the footprint there? How does it connect to the case? Sam and Matt report their findings to the crime scene manager, Maddie.
So we also found transferred possible bloody shoe impressions in the scene through the kitchen and the bedroom.
Do you have a nomination, left or right? Do you have a rough size or width at all for me?
Can Sam and Matt find out?
My name is Sammy Ohm and I am a forensic science student at CIT. I've always been interested in forensics. So Abby at NCIS had a probably a major play in that, because I was like, oh, I love what she's doing. I want to be able to do that. Forensics is a big role in investigations, so it's really good to be able to give back to the community and be like, look, I'm going to be the people helping you. I'd really, really like to join the police force and just do general duties for a couple of years. But obviously, if I can apply for a job and get in the forensics role, that'd be great as well. Yeah, I want to help people, so I was like, why not do it? Can't tell the shape of the shoe, the size of the shoe.
Yep.
What shoe it is. I got nothing.
And so we've got Sammy Matt kitchen and bedroom.
We're going to process the bedroom first and remove the deceased, and then we'll do all the biologicals and then physical from there.
There are some, hairs that we found.
Was it the hair of the suspect? Or has it been mistaken for the victims? Will the students be able to piece this evidence together? Outside, we find the car of the suspect. As the heat continues to rise and the clock ticks down, will Zach and Tom recover clues from the car? Or will the heat destroy the evidence?
What item or of anything of importance have you located?
A blade in the bush area, about 12 centimetres long, or the blade's about 12 centimetres long,
Yep.
black handled.
A shoe mark. What size roughly?
It's kind of hard to tell, it's only the front. And on top of the driver's side door is a smear of a red-brown substance that we think might be blood.
Maddie speaks to Cliff about the progress Zach and Tom have made.
Yeah, three-dimensional shoe print at marker 1 just there in sort of front of the driver's side window. What may be a kitchen knife in the bush? Got possible blood smear on the top frame of the car on the driver's side. My name is Madeline Ormston. My role as a CSM, or crime scene manager, is basically to feed information from Cliff Frost, being the SIO, the Senior Investigating Officer. Any information that's coming to light to him is then being filtered down to me and then passed on to the CSI, so the crime scene investigators. This is a whole new role for me, being the CSM. I'm normally in the crime scene as well, learning everything from scratch and then having to pass it on and learn really quickly, so good experience at least.
Our last team, Kirsten and Matt, pieced together events from the lounge room.
So looking in through the eastern window, I can see that there's a rock on the ground towards the centre of the room, a large amount of shattered glass inside the room. Windows and window frames for the fingerprints. So no fingerprints identified on the eastern window. Because this window's open, we'll make sure we fingerprint the whole thing.
Black dust.
So we use
frame?
black dust on the aluminium and then the white dust on the window.
Yeah.
So we got one shard of glass here, and then we're up to describe what the inside of the room is. So we got blood. Can you get something to have drawn the blood?
Some kind of a weapon.
Yeah, some kind of weapon.
So my name is Kirsten. So I'm from Canberra. I've lived here my whole life. Started to find interest in forensic science probably around year 9 or 10 in high school. I chose to study at CIT because I wanted a more practical approach to the degree rather than mostly theory. For people who aren't studying forensic science, the degree isn't what I was expecting to go into, but I go into it expecting it to be like crime shows, because it's not. I would say my mum's been my biggest role model because she's really good at keeping me motivated. I think she might actually be more excited than me. So after the course, straight into a job, hopefully working with the police in Canberra or otherwise, I don't really mind.
How are you going, Kirsten? Where are you guys up to with the scene?
We're just placing down evidence.
Okay, so you've conducted initial survey?
Yep.
What sort of things have you located?
We've got broken glass, both inside and outside of the northern window.
Yep.
We have the deceased. And we also have a large rock in the centre.
In the middle of the room they've got a rock, and then they've also got the deceased in there. I believe they've got a transfer stain as well on the door frame of the entry door. Matt also located possible blood I think transfer stain within the aluminium frame of the window.
How did Alex die? The evidence is piling up, but what does it mean?
So my name is Matthew Court. I am 20 years of age and I started studying at CIT last year in February. I was in year 12 and we got asked to go to the morgue. A lot of people don't go to the morgue in year 12, but we did for an exercise science class. Just from that, I just really enjoyed it, and from that day on I was like, yes, forensics is what I want to do. I studied at ANU after I finished college. And what I was originally trying to do was study a forensics degree. I thought I could do that at ANU, so I tried to make my own degree, and then I came to CIT for the open day. It's just one of those things where I looked at it and I was like, yes, this is everything I wanted to do. I think it was more the hands-on stuff. Definitely made it easier knowing that it was a course directly related to forensics. Coming here, having the CSI programs where you actually learn about major crimes and minor volume crimes, stuff like that, made it so interesting.
Our head investigator will now summarise the evidence that has been collected.
On the exterior of the vehicle, and they've also found some fingerprints. The deceased in the lounge room appears to have been stabbed. There's wounds to the abdomen, a fair bit of blood. They're still progressing through that examination. In the bedroom, lady in there appears to be some wounds to the abdomen and disturbance in the room. Looks like there's been jewellery disturbed at the station. They're still examining the suspect, currently undergoing a forensic procedure, but there was obvious signs of blood on the clothing and on the hands.
As we approach 3 p.m, the students gather their findings to report to Cliff. Have they discovered enough evidence to crack the case? Can they piece together what happened that fateful night?
We'll start off with the vehicle.
So we examined the car. It was a white Toyota Corolla. We examined the outside of the car first. Above the driver's side window on the top of the frame, we found a red-brown smear which we used a hemostics presumptive test on and returned positive for a possible presence of blood. On the ground below the driver's side door, we found a partial shoe mark. We weren't able to determine size or if it was a left or right foot. On the ground in the bushes near the car, we found what appeared to be a kitchen knife. The blade was about 12 centimetres long. It also had red-brown staining on it, which we tested with a hemostics, and it came back positive for a possible presence of blood.
The lounge room.
So when we arrived, we noticed that the northern window had been broken with glass shards on the outside, inside, and on the windowsill. So the aluminium frame of the window had a red-brown smear on it. Inside the scene, we also identified a rock towards the middle of the lounge room, which is likely what broke the window. We also identified a deceased with a lot of blood. And on further examination of the deceased, we identified 3 puncture wounds to the abdomen. It appeared to be roughly about 1 inch to maybe 2 inches long. A lot of blood on the clothing. And then we also identified at least 2 separate shoe impressions made in what appeared to be blood leading into the dining room.
Matt, Sammy?
Sammy and I carried out an examination of the kitchen and the bedroom areas. We did find a few things in the kitchen leading from the dining room area. There was what appeared to be some shoe prints in red-brown substance, which we're assuming is blood coming into the kitchen. There's not a lot of evidence in the kitchen itself. There was a couple of other transfer stains on the floor. Hard to say exactly what it was from. We thought probably a shoe, but we couldn't tell sort of size or directionality from those stains. Appeared to be leading into the bedroom area where there was an altercation. There was a frame that was smashed on the ground with a photo of 2 individuals in it, and then on top of a dressing table, tall boy, there was jewellery that had sort of been spread everywhere as well. In the corner of the room was a deceased female who had 3 puncture wounds to her abdomen area as well.
So injuries to the abdomen?
Yep.
Yep. And the shirt was torn as well.
Anything specific about those injuries?
They went through the shirt.
Yeah.
And they were probably about the same size as the ones Matt described.
We found some hairs or fibres on the window in the kitchen, and then there was a long dark brown hair sort of caught up in the jewellery box as well. It would be good to just get a description of the suspect in terms of his hair colour, whether his...
Yeah, it's dark.
It's dark, yeah.
So what will we do with that hair?
So we'll just do a
We will definitely
DNA
look at
analysis
examining.
on that hair. It is obviously difficult because the suspect has been known to obviously live in the house.
Exactly.
So things like hair, in terms of the evidentiary value, it can be difficult.
Which makes the blood pretty important, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, the blood is important.
All the evidence from the murder has been presented. Will the evidence piece together to connect to the crime?
The main one, you got the injuries, the blood trail, the shoe marks, the knife, so you got all the major stuff. Thank you for putting in the effort. I think you did pretty well.
It went pretty well. We always talk through what we do before we go in and do it, so that makes it a lot easier.
Sort of tried to take a systematic approach as well, so try to break down all the steps we wanted to do, just to sort of make it simpler for ourselves. Break it down into each room and the process that we wanted to.
And specific items before other items, just for the pure fact of contamination and losing that evidence.
Coordinating with the other teams in the rooms as well, just sort of trying to grasp the context of the whole scene rather than just focusing on our two rooms.
It's a bit overwhelming. Obviously we've done a lot of scenes before, however, I think today just time got away from us. We didn't really set up a plan, which is probably our downfall.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like everything we saw in there we kind of expected to be there. Everything was related, so there was nothing really that bad.
Time management skills is a big
Yeah,
one.
time management should be our thing.
If you're interested in forensics and want to solve crimes as a crime scene examiner, you'll find no better training than at CIT. Please see CIT's home website and make contact with our forensic staff who will provide any advice and assistance. This was produced in cooperation with CIT Screen and Media and the Forensic Science students.
Thank you.